We live in dark times divided. War, hatred, famine, and death make the divisive world we live in ever grey. The encroaching end of times is marching closer and closer, and we feud over our smallest differences as higher powers watch on in quiet disappointment. We made first contact and shot them down due to our own hubris and fear of our predispositions. Countries fall and we stand in desperation. So today I'm gonna make a video about how, some food is weird, but it's normal food, but it's still kind of weird, you know? Yeah. So the obvious one that everyone and their dog has thought about is milk. Maybe not dogs in retrospect, I doubt they really have a firm understanding of the dairy industry and its history, but the thought of what kind of depraved soul must have milked the first cow is a shallow descent into confusion and upset, and the probability of it coinciding with the awakening of the first fairy is rather disturbing. The unfortunate truth, though, is that reality is far more strange. The initial explanation of the former, ironically, comes from my father. He brought up the good point one day that if you're some dumb caveman that probably doesn't even have any friends on Stadia, you'd probably see some calf one day doing the old nip and sip and think, damn, I'm pretty hungry. Maybe I'll give that a go. Which, all things considered, is actually pretty understandable in a day and age where surgery consisted of drilling holes in people's skulls until their head either stopped hurting or they fucking died. And makes even more sense in today's day and age where the meta of the universe is ruled by the social concept of big mommy milkers. But no, my friend, for we haven't even gotten close to the weirdness of milk. You see, humans, the lovely things that we are naturally lactose intolerant. Rise, my lactose intolerant friends. You've been taught your entire life that you were the weird one, but it's actually the dirty tolerators who are the genetic mutants. The disgusting half-breed. Or you could just think that people who don't drink milk didn't really evolve right. Honestly, it's kind of up to you. It took thousands of years for humans to become tolerant to lactose, which doesn't sound like a big deal, right? I mean, evolution be evolving and all that, but the only reason that we developed that tolerance was milk. For thousands of years, humans would milk a cow, drink a cold pint of that thick white stuff, get violently ill to the point where they feel like someone just cut both ends of a toothpaste tube and punched the middle, only to wake up the next day, presumably with whatever the milk equivalent of hangover is, and go, fucking yeah, that was alright. Only to go and fucking do it all again. Now, the perseverance and persistence of humanity really is an incredible thing. Apparently, this tolerance to lactose developed unnaturally quickly too. In evolutionary terms anyway, which is still a few thousand years. Now, to quote the Smithsonian, in order to evolve a genetic mutation so quickly, something has to kill the people that don't carry it. Which is fucking terrifying, to be honest. Maybe it was some sort of rite of passage, you know, like,
oh, you want to join our tribe? The thick, white liquid of the gods will decide your fate. Unga bunga.
Unga bunga, yeah, fair enough, mate. Now, by extension, cheese is also pretty weird. I mean, you've got the obvious part of it being made from milk, right? I just covered that part. Then you get to the part that it's pretty much just gone off milk. Someone takes the curds of this horrifically expired milk, chucks them somewhere for a while, those chunks turn hard, then you say, yeah, good enough, and start chowing down on this monstrosity. I mean, cheese was apparently discovered by the practice of storing milk in containers made from stomachs of animals. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, you know, I don't really look at, you know, a stomach and think, yeah, that'll make a great milk bag, but moving on. Then you get to the absolutely delicious abomination that is blue cheese, where the spice of life is quite literally mold. Though the name of that mold does look a bit like penicillin, so I mean, I guess you can half convince yourself that it's good for you, and don't get me wrong, I fucking love milk. When the Markarth guards call me a milk drinker, I take it as an earnest compliment and a sincere nod to the sheer amount of the white stuff I can fit down my throat. That doesn't detract from the fact, though, that milk and cheese are kind of fucked. Now, moving on to a more abstract food that some of you may not know about, bread is also a bit weird. Maybe not as weird as milk in concept, but you have to really think about how the fuck someone decided to grow a crop, dry out that crop, grind it into a fine powder, chuck some fungus in it and water, and then let it sit for an hour until it grows like some kind of wheat-based life form, then chuck it into an incredibly hot oven until you have something that actually smells like a healthy childhood. Convoluted doesn't even describe it. Granted, nowadays we have a wonderful thing known as food science, but bread has been around for over 10 millennia. How the fuck does some unga bunga dickhead discover this rat's maze of a food product? Conspiracy theorists have it all wrong. Aliens didn't build the pyramids, they built Wonder Bread. Expanding on bread for a sec, fucking pun not intended, cake is by extension also pretty weird, just a different flavor of fucked, as it's literally just a sweet bread with extra steps. Drop the yeast, add some baking soda, maybe some sugar, bish bash bosh, you've got a needlessly complicated culinary nod to Walter White. Again, if any of this was invented today, I'd completely understand, but this shit is borderline historic. How can someone whip up a loaf of Hovis or a Colin the Caterpillar only to go do some casual bloodletting when they feel a bit off is beyond me. That's like getting an ace in CS only to feel a bit dry and do a rain dance. I guess by extension, sausage is a bit weird too, not because of the ground up meat. I mean, I grind my meat all the time, but because it's traditionally stuffed into a sheep's intestine. Though this is only really one of those things that's gross at first and becomes understandable later. I mean, I too tend to store food in an intestine, so I guess I get where they got the idea from. Still though, I guess it's not quite as gross as the original football and the original guitar strings, so in the end, sausage is pretty normal, just a little needlessly complicated. At the end of the day though, a vassal for meat is a vassal for meat, and frankly, I'm sure many can relate. Granted, these examples are a little tame given the fact that they're food staples that have existed for centuries, but judging modern food by these standards is a little bit unfair given the fact that we have edible water bottles and fucking mustard watermelon. But it's frankly a bit odd that these old foods had such a complicated or strange production, given that the people who discovered them hadn't quite worked out bacteria or the fucking wheel in some cases. I could probably talk about some medieval staples of culinary perfection, like fucking stuffed goose, but honestly, medieval and Roman food is fucked as it is. They're all along the lines of let's make something as needlessly complicated as possible so that the king won't kill me and my family. I mean, really, how many calories are you gonna get from fucking otter eyelids or the anus of a goose? I guess you have the turducken to balance out the calorie count, but as to not hurt my brain too much, I thought I'd keep the list simple. Still though, let's look at one example of TikTok food to give me another reason to delete my channel and move into the wilderness to become the raccoon I was always meant to be. Here's a fucking bologna cheesecake, where the cheese is actually mayonnaise and the bologna is actually bologna. Look, fucking olives. Good to see mustard making a gratifying return. Good luck getting that 80s horror movie monster out of your head when you sleep tonight. Fucking, yeah, that's about it. Bye.